So first of all, my name is Annette. Annette Kendall. I'm an assistant extension professor at the University of Missouri. My focus area is on entrepreneurship and innovation, specifically in rural areas or primarily in rural areas. And I am the chair of the Connecting Entrepreneurial Communities project initiative.
I am Mike Krauch. I'm the Northeast Regional Director for University of Missouri Extension. I provide administrative oversight for 19 counties in Northeast Missouri. And I did, I was directly involved in bringing Connecting Entrepreneurial Communities conference to Missouri a few years ago. I actually came here from Michigan in 2018. This was an event that originated with Michigan State University Extension. It is now conducted, I believe, Annette, in 8 states across the country, and so it was an opportunity that I saw to bring a needed educational program to rural Missouri to help with economic growth and development, particularly in the entrepreneurship sector.
Okay, this is what we're going to cover today. All these photos, by the way, that you see are from our Benton County CEC conference that we had in September. But what we're going to cover today is, firstly, what is CEC, what it's about and what it's designed for, its mission, why host a CEC conference. So this is a webinar or Zoom meeting on what's involved in hosting a conference. So what's the benefit to communities? I'm going to talk about the importance of the organizing committee. I'm going to cover the requirements for the host community in terms of the venues that are required. I'm going to go over the financials in detail so that you get a very, very clear picture of who pays for what, marketing promotion, who does what again, creating the program, so who the program is designed for, registration and logistics for on the day, and then some recommendations for partnerships, so for communities in terms of how you can get this thing off the ground. What is CEC? So CEC, the Connecting Entrepreneurial Communities Conference. It's a tool for creating, connecting, and promoting community economic revitalization through entrepreneurship as a driver for economic growth across rural communities in Missouri. Really, it's a conference designed to help people think about how they can support economic growth through entrepreneurship, how they can support entrepreneurs in rural communities. It's designed to highlight the best practices for fostering a culture of entrepreneurship. So we bring in presenters and keynote speakers that have either done research or had initiatives of their own in their own communities to share those stories of how they've done it. So best practices. Now, the really cool thing about CEC, if you've never been to one, is that the sessions are held in local businesses and venues. So rather than going to a conference where you're sat in a boardroom of a hotel or conference rooms in a hotel for the entire time, this conference involves you attending breakout sessions in the actual retail stores within a walkable distance in a community. So, for example, in Benton County, the venues that the breakout sessions were in boutiques, restaurants, a cafe, a game store, a little winery, boutique winery, which is fun. You're integrated into the community. So you're out and about walking around the main street of the community. It's always held in late September. Okay, why host a CEC conference? So these are the benefits for the community, right? So you've got increased revenue, not just from the 2 days that the conference is on, and you've got 100 or 150 or maybe even 200 people walking about town and doing shopping. But you also get those people returning. It brings awareness to your community. So a lot of people have told us, we didn't even realize Coal Camp, had these kind of places. And so conference attendees tend to go home and then tell their friends and family, oh, we have to take a trip there. We have to go back. It spreads the word about your community to others. So the conference is designed, if you are the host community, we want to tell the story of your town, right, or region, county. And so we put a lot of effort into the program and to making sure that that happens. And so it's a chance for you to highlight not only what your community has done, but also the potential. So the things that you want to do, the things that you would do if you had more resource, right? And it also enables you to create connections with attendees and speakers. And that's why we keep the conference small, so that networking can happen, which is really valuable, right? And so we always hear stories of people who met other people and did a project together, or mentored each other as they started their own project. Long-term impact. So the programming and the us being there in your community provides some insight into how you can ignite local entrepreneurship. The fact that you're doing this in your community sends a message to your local entrepreneurs and your aspiring entrepreneurs that you support this kind of activity for economic growth. In terms of long-term impact, you'll have access to our broader CEC community resources. We will use the programming from the conference to host webinars, bringing the CEC community, which by that I mean the attendees from conferences, together for different events, whether in person or virtual, all focused on this theme of how to support entrepreneurs, facilitating entrepreneurship in rural communities. So yeah, you'll have access to that. And you get the whole year of marketing of your community as well, as we're marketing the conference. Also helps, as I said, puts your community on the map, and it gives you a chance to showcase your unique community. So we don't come in and say, here is the blueprint of the conference and this is how we do it, and it's exactly the same. What we look for in every community is what could be different, right? How could we change this? So we're very open to other kind of ways of doing it. So it doesn't have to just focus around retail. As long as there's that walkable distance, it's integrated into the community, we are very open to doing things that align with your own community's culture, charm, character. Okay, so what do you need from your end? So the local organizing committee is key. This is a lot of work. You've got to gain sponsorship to be able to fund the conference, arrange all the logistics of the conference venues, the breakout session venues, have those all looking nice, organize basically the town, so signage so that people know where to go. It takes a village, and it is a lot of work. We recommend that you have a diverse committee. So the committee can come from, Chamber of Commerce, the regional, the local economic development office, banks, non-profits, utility companies, so representatives from all the different companies, some local entrepreneurs even, but We recommend that it be diverse so that you're getting a broad reach across your community, because if you're thinking about, it's a conference designed to highlight best practices and facilitating entrepreneurship or supporting entrepreneurs, you want to ensure that your conference is reaching all types of entrepreneurs in the community. So think a little bit broader than just retail. And then the chair of your local committee will act as the point person for our team. So we have our state team that is MU Extension. And so the chair of your local committee will also attend our state team meetings, right? It's easiest for us to have one person on that committee that we communicate with. So your responsibilities. All right. So as I said before, you have to coordinate all the local logistics. So you have to find the venues, and you do that with us. So what happens is when you get selected, we will come do a visit, and we will work through with you about, okay, yep, that would be a really good space. This would be a good space. This one would be difficult, or, that kind of thing, and help you kind of maybe see outside the box in terms of spaces. We support you in all of these activities, actually. It's probably important to say. The local committee is responsible for gathering together things that you want to put in the conference packets, so giveaways, gift vouchers, things like that. You're responsible for your own local marketing and promotion. And what I mean by that is that it's important for the local committee to make sure that the whole that the community is on board when the conference attendees are going into these stores or these cafes and restaurants, that they are that the people know that this conference is on, that everybody in your town is representing the community or the town in a way that you want them to. That the attendees are welcomed, etc. So that local marketing and promotion is the responsibility of the local committee. And then you will work with us to create content for broader promotion. So in terms of getting attendees, getting people to come to the conference. And what I mean by that is shooting videos, getting little snippets of interviews. We do a lot of social media marketing. So we work with the local team to help us gather those stories. The local team creates the signage on the day to assist attendees so that they know where to go and where the venues are. Recruit the volunteers. So volunteers in terms of you might have golf carts that help people that have accessibility needs move around the space. Volunteers who help with just directions or things like, where's a good place to get coffee, where are the bathrooms, things like that. And then the local team is responsible for securing the sponsorship. And I'll cover the financial responsibilities in a minute. So when we're talking about the venue, so when you think about your own community and you're trying to envision how this might work, so these are the things that we require. So we need a large venue space that can accommodate up to 200 attendees. In those large spaces, we have the meals, the lunches, and the opening and closing keynote sessions. And it should be ADA compliant, or at least have some kind of workaround. So we understand that in these rural communities, some of the towns don't have ADA compliant buildings. So as long as we can find some workaround so that attendees can be part of it, whether it's by a video link and they sit in another space or just something, right? We need at least 5 venues for breakout sessions. So the program has has 5 different rounds of breakouts, right? And so theoretically, and there are 5 different streams. So all in all, 25 breakout sessions. Theoretically, you could have 5 spaces and just have those spaces for the entire program. So rather than moving around a lot, right? So at least 5, and it can host a minimum of 10. So because some of the sessions are more popular than others. So a minimum of 10, but if you only had 5 spaces, they would have to be able to host up to 200 in total, right? And so, of course, you could use the large space as one of the breakout session spaces. And all of these spaces, the large venue space and the breakout session spaces, have to be within walkable distance from each other, because we want people to arrive and they walk around town. They don't have to get in their cars to go places.
And I think that's a really good point. The ideal is that we don't put folks back in their cars once they arrive at the conference. They're embedded in the community, and they don't get back in their car until they're getting in their car to leave the conference. When we talk about walkable distance, 8 to 10 minutes from any one point to another in the conference is usually a good a good benchmark for what a walkable distance would be.
And I'd like to add, if I can, why that was so important, I thought, to this community, that not only was everything in walkable distance, but you left enough time between workshops that you could, number one, you could get to the next workshop on time, but you also had really time to go in, do some shopping, visit with the shop owners, make purchases, and then move on. And I really thought, I think that was your whole purpose, to help build and grow this community. But that meant a lot to me, to have the time between.
Thanks, Dina. Yeah, that's a fantastic point there that I haven't actually covered in this presentation, that there is time left in the program. There is time left between the sessions to do exactly what Dina said, move to the next space, but also do shopping. As Mike always says, we want people walking around town with the local retailers' shopping bags, right? So, of course, then you need adequate parking. And then also on top of that, you need a venue that's suitable for an evening networking event. So maybe that's the same space that you have the keynotes and the meals in, but a venue that, has some kind of character or charm or story behind it, that would act as the networking event venue. Then also, one of the other resources you need is caterers who can provide lunches for up to 200 people. So the evening networking event is nibbles, right? It's not a dinner, but the lunches. So, do you have caterers in your community that could do that? And then obviously sufficient lodging. Ideally, in a perfect world, that the lodging would also be in that walkable distance. We understand that in many, many cases it's not. So the people will have to come from the hotel downtown, park their cars, and be there for the day. But is there some other option? Is there a trolley bus? Is there, different things? Okay, so the financials. So all up, I put this number up front because this is one of the key things that people need to know. We recommend that you raise at least $15,000 in either cash sponsorship or in-kind donations. On the next slide, I'm going to give you the breakdown of that. The community will raise the money that they need to cover their expenses, and all of those funds stay in the community. They don't need to be sent to MU. So you raise your money to cover your budget. However, we do require that a report and receipts of all the money that's been raised and spent. And why we ask for that is because we need to be able to show future communities, and also in our reports, what it actually costs rural communities to host one of these conferences. Because when we're talking about what is the economic impact, we need to include that, right? So We have to be very transparent with that, and equally we're transparent on our end. So yeah, you're responsible for raising enough funds to pay for this. Now, these figures are approximate, and it's also, I'll go to it, but all of these figures are approximate based on the last conference. If your community is one that says, I don't know if we can raise, $15,000, there's ways to be creative, right? Around expenses. So, we want the conference to be a certain standard, but I wouldn't like to see a community not have a go at presenting one because of financial constraints. Like, I'd like to, see if we could work together to figure it out. So how is that $15,000 made up? So what are you responsible for paying, right? So the host community needs to supply the gifts for the presenters, the breakout session speakers, and the keynote speakers. Attendee gifts. So I've just put in 185, right, at a cost of $15. I will say, so Benton County gave everybody the bag, a travel bag. Previous conferences have given people, attendees, a umbrella. I would like to see a community keep that attendee gift like within a $15 range, just because if it goes up and up and the gifts become extravagant, it just makes it very hard for some communities to be able to do that, right? We want to keep this cost effective for communities. And so we ask that, the expenses and the gifts that you provide are moderate, right? Pre-conference. So there is a pre-conference networking event, which is held the night before the conference, and that's designed night before the conference starts. And that's designed to, we want people to come into town and spend another night's accommodation in your town, right? We want them to be in town for a little bit longer and spending money and visiting the different things, tourist things that you've got going on. So that's the pre-conference networking event. Then there's the main conference networking event. So the pre-conference networking event, I just put in there a figure of 100 because not everybody comes to that. Some of them come in on the day. Then you've got a breakfast. Now that breakfast, again, if you are a community that is hard to raise that amount of money, there's ways to bring that cost down. Perhaps everybody has breakfast at the hotel. It's part of the accommodation, right? And then there's the 2 lunches. So those are all the things that the host community has to pay for. But your other financial responsibilities, or that I have figures for, sorry. The other financial responsibilities that most host communities get in-kind donations for are venue costs. So if it's a community building that's provided by the local council for, as an in-kind donation. Same with furniture rental, things like that. If you have entertainment, you're responsible for paying for that. Transport around the place, local advertising, signage, and the lanyards. So this is why we say, we work with you to determine the budget at the beginning, and we say, based on these amounts, this is what you need to raise, or if you think you can raise less or more, then those amounts will obviously change, right? But those are the responsibilities of the host community in terms of what you pay for. We've done it. Yep.
I just wanted to mention on the pre-conference networking event, we've had this, was our 3rd conference this year. The first year that pre-conference event was it was actually an in-kind donation, so there was no charge at all for that. The 2nd year and 3rd year, there was some cost recovery for that event. So attendees at the pre-conference event paid a small fee. I can't remember what it was in Herman. Most recently in Benton County, was it $35 in it?
That was $15.
It was $15. Okay.
Mhm.
So anyhow, there was some cost recovery.
These are all the costs that the local community can control, right? You decide what you're going to have for the dinners, the breakfast, the lunches, the venues, things like that. And so those are the costs that are borne out by the responsibility of the local team, because those are the costs you can control, right? Okay, so marketing and promotion, and we are going to design the calendar and write down, like determine who is going to do what. So who is going to write what press releases? When are they going to go out? Who is going to gather the content or write the content? And so what will the local marketing team do? What will we do? And when will we post it, right? So the host community, you get an entire year of promotions. So it'll be a very purposeful effort of regular content. We will start the marketing in October and November. Now, anything that the local team puts together in terms of signage, printing, media releases, etc., has to be approved by either and or myself and or communications and marketing at University of Missouri. And that's especially in terms of the logo. So the printing part has to go through the University of Missouri. We have preferred printers or preferred suppliers. So we will work with you to figure out if there is a preferred supplier in your local area. So CEC, currently we have our email list of all attendees that have attended all the conferences, any conferences. So we do email blasts out to them. We also have a Facebook page and a LinkedIn page. Okay, creating the program. So the primary audience. So who is this designed for? And this is something that needs to be highlighted. The people that we want to attend this conference is people who have decision-making power, right? People who decide where resources are going to go. And because we want to be able to showcase the host community and tell a story of why more resources need to be invested into rural Missouri, right? It's also for people who are working in economic development, or even just people who are passionate about seeing their community thrive. And the sessions are, inspiring and give you ideas of what you can do in your community. However, to get some of those ideas off the ground, you need resources, right? So that's why we target people who decide where money and resources and other resources go, right? So that's our primary audience. What happens is that the University of Missouri, so we put the program together. So we put a call out for breakout session speakers. We invite submissions, and then we go through the submissions and make selections and create a program from those submissions. We will work with the host community about getting on board local speakers. So a general rule of thumb is that we try and get a third local speakers, a third people who have from other communities who have implemented initiatives, successful initiatives, and then a third from the university that are talking about best practices and research. So we work with you to help you encourage your local speakers, because it can be intimidating. Some of your local entrepreneurs might be, I just do what I do. I don't want to speak to everybody. But we help them understand how their story would be really useful for others. And so we do that. We select the keynote speakers as well, and we pay for them. We take the money from the registrations and we pay these costs, as well as we need to cover salaries, stationery, marketing, promotion, things like that. Okay, registration logistics. So registration, we are striving to create this like seamless, to make it very, very easy for people to register for this conference and attend, right? So we take responsibility for the registration system, so the local community doesn't have to do any of that. So, and we man the on-site registration desk. So you don't have to find volunteers to do any of that. We take responsibility for that. We collect the registration fees, do all that. Now, attendees are responsible for booking their own accommodation, but on the website, we put all the recommendations that the local community has put together. We don't expect that you go out and about and get special accommodation rates for the conference. Of course, they're welcomed, but that's not a requirement. We are not requiring any of your local businesses to discount their products and services. If they want to, that's fine, but we don't require it. We are also responsible for all attendee communications. So we will, we tell them, you know, the conference is on, register. Once they've registered, we communicate with them about logistics. And then after the conference, in terms of the evaluation and upcoming ongoing materials that they can source. A couple of things to help communities think about, you know, have we got the capacity to do this? It's a, as I said, it's a big undertaking. So we recommend, you know, like partner with local organizations. So partner, if you've got other colleges in your town, to partner with them. If you've got, you know, banks or non-profits or people that supply services to entrepreneurs and things, or utilities company even, who can you partner with for help in promoting the event? And then how can you leverage those partners for a stronger event? So as I said here, you know, maybe some of your local colleges have people that could be speakers, right? Who have content and things that they could speak to. So we're all about, you know, bringing in as many people from that community as we can, right? And all working together. And then how can you engage the community in the conference activities? So the conference isn't designed for entrepreneurs, but they can still be engaged in it. So maybe they can be conference ambassadors. Maybe they can be on the committee. Maybe you have some opportunities where they can network and meet with the conference attendees in small groups, right? Things like that. And of course, they can be speakers. Okay, so next steps. So you can reach out to your local extension office. And why I put this here is because, of course, you can contact me, but your local extension office, those people know your community as well as you do. So you can talk through like what would be the potential for your community to host, right? You can contact myself with any questions. I am more than happy to come and visit your community and, you know, tell you, like, give you some ideas or tell you what you have got and how we could think around things, work around things that maybe you don't. I'm more than happy to work with communities who need help building the capacity. So getting a local community, local committee together. We are especially interested in taking it across Missouri. So all over. We'd like to go into every corner of Missouri and even into the communities that, you know, wouldn't necessarily get an opportunity to host a conference. How many classes are during each breakout session? So, so the way that the program goes is it starts with a keynote, some welcoming messages, etc., a keynote, and then you have the first breakout, which has 5 streams.
So the first day, I believe, has 3 blocks.
3.
sessions, and then the second day has 2 blocks of sessions. A lot of networking that happens between sessions too.
We open up the proposals, like we put the request for proposals out in February, and they're due by May 31st, because then we use June, July, August to do the visits. So that gives, because we understand, like, you need that amount of time, because some of your meetings that you have with all the different people that would be involved are only monthly, right? I fully encourage anybody who's looking at putting together a proposal to chat with me or your extension office as well, in terms of making sure that you're putting together a strong proposal, right? Oh, and so on that note, so then when we come and do the visit, so the proposal is basically making sure, gathering details about what spaces you have. Do you have the capacity to raise the money that's required? A little bit of detail about who would be on the team, right? And then we come and visit you in the summer. And in that visit, what happens is you would show us the spaces, how you envisage, like, the flow, where potential spaces for networking events could be, and what you're trying to do with this event, because, you know, it is a competition. What you're trying to do in this visit is have us leave going, that place is so cool, because that's what we want our attendees to leave with, right?
You want us to walk away with a really good understanding of what the strengths of the community are, and how those strengths would be highlighted and make for a really robust conference experience for attendees. Because, like Annette said, you want people, as they're the conference is it's a community event, right? You know, it's very much in partnership with the community, and a big part of our goal is that we're highlighting the host community in such a way that, like we said at the beginning, people will want to come back. So we want to have an understanding of how to, you know, how you're going to send that message, how you're going to get people there and get people back.
So really on that visit, you're delivering a tiny little mini experience that would be indicative of the conference experience that attendees would get.
The other thing that those visits allow us to do is it allows us to kind of walk the event, you know, very loosely. You know, you don't have to have exact locations and things like that nailed down, but, you know, kind of a loose walking of the event, and it allows us to kind of see where there might be challenges that we need to help a potential host community overcome. You know, are there limited sites, because this is an issue in rural Missouri, limited sites with ADA compliance in place in a particular community, and so what can we do to help them overcome that obstacle to hosting? Because we do need to make sure that the event is open and accessible to everybody. And so that's an example of why that walkthrough is so valuable when we do those community visits.
It's a little bit, so what I tell my students when they're applying for jobs is even if you don't meet all the requirements, don't take yourself out of the running, right? Make us do it. Because it could be that you don't have one of the things, but everything else is so great that we say, let's try and be creative and figure out a workaround around one of the things.
It's not necessary to present a perfect conference venue. It's necessary to present a workable venue that is attractive and enticing to get people there.
My favorite thing to do is visit your communities. So I am more than willing to jump in the car and have a look at what you've got and travel around.